So we do have one functionality actually working. So now it's just a matter of doing the same thing to other methods here. Okay, so next we're gonna go ahead and do the B question. So do you enjoy fast cars? Let's go ahead, find the fast car switch. There it is. So we're gonna go ahead and do the same. So if fast switch, right, is not equal to nil, checking, make sure that, all right, so and then we say if fast switch dot on. So if that is indeed on, if they selected yes, then what we want to do, we want to add 5 points. How do we do that? Well, we need to go ahead and make sure we get the fast switch variable which hold the points. So we say fast car points, okay? We add 5, and then we want to change the label that says yes or no here. So we say fast yes no label dot text is equal to yes. Else, meaning if they say no, then what we need to do is we are going to say fast car points is equal to 0, and then we change our fast yes no label text to say no. That's perfect. Instead of outdoor here, let's go ahead and say fast car points, so we can see if the fast car points is being incremented or decremented for that matter. So let's run this. Okay, so let's go ahead and try out our B here. Show result is going to say out, well, it's saying outdoor. Let's change this to fast car. That way we know exactly what we're talking about. So stop and run again. All right, so let's go ahead and say show result. It should say fast car result is 0. Yes, because we haven't said yes or no. Let's go ahead and say yes. Now it says just yes, which is good. So it's updating correctly. Let's go ahead and say show result. And indeed, fast car result is 5. So great, so it's working. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the same to our final question here. So now in our scale slider here, we're gonna go ahead again, say if scale slider is not nil, then we're gonna go ahead and say if scale slider dot, before we do that, before we start writing our code here, let's make sure we actually have this label here connected here. I don't think we do, so let's go ahead, let's go to the top here to make sure. Yes, I don't think we do, so forgot that, my bad. So let's go control, let's just put it right here. So it's going to be an outlet. We're going to call this scale value label. That works. Say connect, and there we have it. Now we have a reference so we can actually change as users slide left and right. So here, before we do anything, let's go back to our slider here. Let's create a variable here, say var scale val for value is equal to, now let's go ahead and get the actual value from our scale. Let's go ahead and say scale slider dot value. Okay, so that's what we're going to be getting. And let's go ahead and print those values as we scale value are. Let's go ahead and append, say scale val. Let's save this. Let's see if this is going to work. So let's go ahead and run again. So you notice right away when we ran, we had some warnings, not necessarily errors. So it's saying variable scale var was never mutated. Consider changing to let. So let's stop this and put let here so that we don't have those issues anymore. Wasn't necessarily an error because our app ran just fine, but since it's a warning, it's always nice to follow what Xcode tells us. So let's go ahead and run one more time. Okay, now we don't have any warnings. Okay, let's go ahead and see if this works. And as you can see, it's working here. It's giving us all the values. But notice that the values we are getting, they're not integers, right? Because they have decimal points, so they're floats. So we need to change that. We just put inside here, we're gonna go ahead and put int. All right, so what we do, we simply go ahead outside here since we're using this variable. So we're gonna go ahead and say int, and then open parenthesis, and let's go ahead and close. That way we're saying whatever is inside this parenthesis here, we are converting them into int. So now our scale value, which we are calling here, will have integers as opposed to having floats. Okay, so let's save this one more time and run. Should have actually showing integers. So let's go ahead and see if this works. And there it is. So it says 7, 8, 9, all of those great values. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and make sure we can access the current selected value from outside this scale slider changed, because we need to do that. Here, let's go ahead and say scale slider that value. Of course, just make sure we get actually an integer. Let's go ahead and say int and put all inside there, just like we did before. There it is. So now when we run this, we should be able to click on show result, and we should get, let's just get rid of this for now. And we should get indeed the current state of our slider here. Okay, let's go ahead and run. Okay, let's say show result, say the result is 0. Let's move a little bit there. Show result, say result is 1. Let's move all the way, and result is 10. That's good. That means we are able to actually fetch this scale slider value here, which we instantiated at the top here, scale slider. And at the same time, we are getting those values inside of our scale slider changed. So now we know we are able to get our values as needed. Also, we said here we want to be able to change this value here as they slide left and right. So the way we do this, let's go ahead and comment this out. Obviously, we're going to go ahead and fetch our label here, which I think we called, let's see what we call that label. We called it scale value label. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and say scale value label dot text is equal to, let's append our scale val, which is the value that we're getting from our slider. So this one int there. And then we're going to go ahead and put a forward slash and then append another value here. And we can go ahead and just say 10. Now here's another thing we can do here. This is perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and save and run this. Okay. Should see things will still work as we want. So let's go slide and say 2 and all of 10 out of 10. That's perfect. That's wonderful. But since we are learning about Swift, we're learning about Xcode, we're learning about iOS development, there's another thing we can do here. Instead of just hard coding here, because just put the number 10 because we know this is from 0 to 10, what if we decided to say we want to say 0 to 100? Right? We changed this wording here to 0 to 100. Well, we have to come here and change to 100 again. But there's a better way of doing this, which is, as we know, our scale slider here object, item here, right? This one here. It has, if we click on it and let's open our inspector again, it has the minimum and maximum value. And we know all of these attributes here that we can access via our Xcode here. We can also access those in code. We can actually get the maximum value or minimum value in code by using our object scale slider. Instead of just putting 10 here, let's go ahead and dynamically fetch the maximum value of our slider here. And how we do that, let's go ahead to make things cleaner. Let's go ahead and say let max val be equal to scale slider dot maximum val. As you can see, there it is, and is of type float. Say enter. Since we want it to be an integer, let's do the same here. Let's convert. So first to go say int, open parenthesis, and close. So now this max val we can use here. Instead of using just 10, we can append that here, say max val, enter. We created a variable max val and we gave it the maximum value that our slider holds, which essentially is, let's click back here, is this value here. And this is good programming habit because now everything is dynamic. If we decided that we want to change this again to 0 to 200 or 500, then we don't need to change anything here because this will just fetch whatever we set this to be. All right, so let's go ahead and save and run. Again, you won't see any difference, but now we know that our application is indeed dynamic. So let's go ahead and change this. Okay, again, nothing is changed, but we know everything is dynamic, which is good. We stop here. Let's go ahead and say result. It should say result is 4 because that's what we are displaying here. So we did a lot of things here in this video. So we're getting really close to finishing up our application, but I want you to go back and start studying or looking back at what we did here, because I know it may be a little bit overwhelming. Just don't worry too much. Just go back and read this code and type yourself in and everything. In the next video, we'll continue working on this application. So we're getting close, and I'll see you in a bit.